După cum știți, așa cum am obișnuit deja cele două categorii, Elite și Classic de investitori ai Seedblink, organizăm un eveniment în exclusivitate cu companiile care se listează într-o perioadă anterioară listării publice, doar cu potențialul de a aplica, de a investi doar pentru Elite și Classic de data aceasta. Ca să repet regulile pentru acest tip de investiție, pentru că platforma noastră încă nu e pregătită ca să dăm acest drept în exclusivitate acestor două categorii de membri. Din nou, adresați-vă lui Ionuț pentru interesul de a investi în această săptămână. Posibilitatea de a subscrie în regimul ăsta de Elite și Classic se încheie practic lunea viitoare la ora 22, de marți intră listarea publică, iar suma alocată pentru Elite și Classic este 200.000, după care listarea publică va mai permite încă 200.000 plus încă o posibilitate de a subscrie încă suplimentar 100.000. Deci 200 plus 300.000 potențial. Dacă investitorii din categoriile Elite și Classic vor subscrie suplimentar, față de cei 200.000 se va aloca o cotă pro rata, așa cum v-am obișnuit deja. Ok, aceste detalii tehnice fiind spuse, începem cu principalii invitați din seara aceasta și avem chiar 3 reprezentanți ai Plant & App. Bogdan, care e fondatorul Plant & App. Bine venit, Bogdan! Și pe care l-ați cunoscut o parte din voi, cei care ați asistat și la pitch-urile de la Spotlight How to Web. Reza, welcome Reza again. Welcome from Missouri, yeah?
Yes.
8-hour difference, so still midday at your in Missouri. Reza is a product manager with Plant & App. And Alex Gavril, salut Alex, care e sales și marketing manager la Plant & App. So, acestea fiind zise, we switch to English because we are again hosting an international company with a team which is both in Romania and in US. I don't know if, Bogdan, you have part of the team in other countries or just Romania and US?
Just Romania and the US for now, and we are looking at UK opening very soon.
Okay, UK once they will become cheaper after Brexit. And Plant & App, I think we have also a premiere for ourselves because Plant & App has started another equity crowdfunding campaign in US on Republic, and now we are trying to show our muscles with Seedblink in our Romanian environment, how we can actually to cooperate with the campaign they have on Republic, and that's why we organize also the private campaign with Elite and Classic, and then switch to a public campaign. And I will give the floor to Bogdan for starting the presentation, their pitch, which I understood it was very well received recently, 2 weeks ago. You won the contest with EBRD something, EBRD. You can tell us more about
if you please allow me to add something else. The difference between Republic, the difference between Republic and Seedblink is the contract that we are going to sign between us. While on Republic there is a crowd safe, the instrument being very unfriendly to investors. On our platform is a Y Combinator safe, which is very clean and very friendly to investors. This is in case you were wondering why not investing in Republic and why investing here in Romania. Thank you.
Actually, we allocated at least 5 minutes for this topic. After the pitch of Bogdan, we agreed with them to discuss a bit the contractual, the legal conditions for the two campaigns. So Bogdan, the floor is yours for starting the pitch, and then we switch also to the other part of the team. And in the second part, or as you are already used, if you have already questions, just shoot. The chat is yours, and we'll pick the questions when we reach that stage. So Bogdan.
Thanks for the introduction, Andrei. So yeah, hello everyone. Good to see some of you again. Good to know other of you for the first time. The pitch that I wanted to show today was the EBRD pitch, as Andrei mentioned. The EBRD, so the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. They are a private institution that take money from European Union, and they have various programs for startups as well. So they have an investment arm, they call it Start Ventures. And last year they launched this program for startups related to the impact on COVID, on fighting the COVID in the world. And then there were 225 startups that applied to this challenge. And we were handpicked for the final, and we won. We are one of the 5 winners. So there were 5 winners, and the prizes are $100 each winner. And then it's also
$100,000.
$100,000. Yes. Sorry. What's the difference? I mean, a few zeros. And then also it will be mentoring, access to investors, access to potential leads, and so on. So it's a very good program, and it has authority in Europe. You know, that's the good thing. And actually, after that, I was also approached. They have a branch also in Romania, an EBRD branch in Romania. So they approached me to schedule a call on Friday. So I think it will be a very good program. So that's the pitch that I want to show you today, because the winner is the best version 9.0 out of many iterations. So let's start with that, and then we'll let it flow to its own conversation. Cool. So just confirming that you see my screen all right.
Yep, it's working.
Okay, cool. Cool. So yeah, we are Plant an App. We are building this low-code platform with the objective of truly democratizing software development. And I will get to explain in a bit what that means. But before that, explaining a bit what low-code is, because it can mean many different things depending on the platform, but also depending on the customer or the user perspective. The most generic way to describe it is that it's a new way to develop software that's 20 times faster than custom development. And it has 80% cost savings on the total cost of ownership, right? So builds software faster and cheaper. And it's a big thing. It's the future of the development. And if you follow the low code and the no code markets, you'll see that this is where it's going. And in fact, Gartner predicts that within the next 4 years, 2/3 of the application development will happen with low code, especially medium and larger enterprises. It's a market that is valued to grow to $52 billion and is growing at 45% year over year. And there are many players. I mean, again, if you follow the market, you see there are many players forming in this space, and it's not there yet. The market is still forming, and we aim to be one of those multi-billion companies that capture a segment of this market, especially on the flexibility side. But the best way to explain it is to look at what our customers build with it, right? We have many use cases, but for the purpose of this competition, that was the BIRD competition, the EBRD competition, we handpicked a case study related to COVID. Normally, I don't show this because with COVID-related use cases, it was so much buzzword, and so people got sick of it, hearing over and over. Usually I promote other use cases, but in the context of the pitch that gave us the prize, it was this use case. It was a university from Glasgow, from UK, and they built a system to test students before changing households during holidays, right? So they have 20,000 students, and out of this, around 40% needed to change households. And then they needed a system where every student need to be tested 3 to 5 days apart. They needed 2 tests, and then they had various slots. Like you can see in this screenshot, they wanted to avoid having too many students in the test center at the same time, right? So all various business rules. And what was very, very, very interesting about this is that they were able to deliver this system in 2 days. Right? So it took them 2 days to go live, and we have actually and are going to publish the story, the case study with them. But from the interview that we had so far, they handpicked Plantan App compared to other low-code tools that the university already had. And why they did this is because it's also because of what makes us special. With other low-code tools, they had to fall back to traditional development. So every time they needed something custom, they would get to the developers, do a sprint, 2-3 sprints, which is the standard in software development, which translates to 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Right? So they wouldn't have been able to do this in 2 days. Whereas our platform, and what makes it so special, is this ability to deploy custom code at a very fast speed. Right? So it can take minutes to deliver a single line of custom code. No, so they estimated that it would have taken 4 weeks with other low-code tools, but if they had to do it all custom, it would have taken them 12 weeks. No, and they estimate that they save 95% of the cost of developing it custom, right? And behind the scenes, this is how the systems are built. Plantan App produces web applications, right, that have various components. There is the data layer, so where the data model is defined, which can be local, but also can be data silos that exist in the organization. Is the UI layer, which basically means forms, listing, dashboards, so the kind of UI elements that users interact with, users of the system. Then is the business logic layer, so the workflows, the process. What happens when somebody clicks a button to schedule an appointment? There's a series of configurable actions that define what happens. And then finally is the integration layer, because in organizations, there already exist a few different systems, right? You cannot go in and replace everything. You have to make friends with other systems, integrate data both ways. So as I mentioned, our unique approach is to bring IT and non-IT on the same development platform, and also integrating the tools that they already use today, right? So either it's BPMN, some of you might know is business process modeling. It's a business concept that users know. We adopted that because we want to bring users and not have to learn a new thing, come with the skills that they have, learn just the IDE, where to find things, but then become very efficient with that. Same with GitHub, which is used by developers all over the world for versioning. We use it for versioning. We didn't invent our own versioning system, right? We don't want to force developers to learn a new thing. Same with custom coding. We implemented programming languages that exist today and are popular, right? Like C#, JavaScript, and we have experimental Python. So the moment you need to add a custom line of code, you can do it not through one, but through any of these programming languages that are familiar to you. And we do the runtime code compilation and creating the environment for that code to run efficiently and securely. And with this approach, is very well received. So far, we acquired 40 customers that generate 370K in ARR, and we grow 500% last year. And actually, since this speech, we also did the accounting, P&L, and balance sheets. And actually, our revenue last year, so ARR plus services, was $500,000. Right? So we did that progress from nearly zero traction in the beginning of the year, because we just launched in 2019, in December to 500,000. I think it was a very good year for us, and especially in the context of this COVID situation where digital transformation really got to be a big thing in terms, especially in terms of decision making, you know, because usually what hinders digital transformation is making the decision, the politics, who does what, right? Where do we get the budget? With COVID, there was no time for that nonsense. They had to make decisions fast. And the sector that worked best for us was healthcare. Why healthcare? Healthcare because they have the budget, right? They have they have legacy software, so they have a lot of legacy software that mostly it's not accessible online, it's not collaborative, right? So they have these needs to align themselves with today, and they needed it fast, especially during this COVID situation. So they didn't have time to, yeah, we have money, let's create a budget, a plan, maybe next year, 2 years, we do this digital transformation, right? We do it this week, this month, we need to go live with it. So healthcare is our primary sector. Our users, our customers build patient portals. So patient portals can mean a lot of things, from online appointments to accessing medical records, to self-assessments, to telemedicine. And then we have other sectors of focus where we already acquired significant number of customers. Education is a big one. I told you about the Strathclyde, University of Strathclyde from Glasgow use case. Government, we have a very good fit. We signed so far US Navy, and we are about to sign the government of Bermuda. We are in the later stages of procurement. So hopefully they will start in about 1 week or 2 weeks. And the government of Bermuda is very interesting use case because they want to build everything with local. They are basically maybe as similar to Romania. You know, they have some systems, some are legacy, some doesn't work. And actually, I had an interview with the guy, and that would be a very interesting story to do. Their IT leader, and he said that until this year, he was ashamed that he worked for the government. You know, it was like that IT guy that goes to a party and says, "What do you do?" "I do the government IT systems," and people will point the finger at him. "Oh, you did that crappy system, no?" You know. So he always felt that he was ashamed. He had to hide it, you know. But now, since this year, when he found these local tools, now he became the hero, you know, of the organization, of the government, and of the country. You know? So it's changing, and that's why I usually say about local. It's not just a technology layer. You know, it's not just about learning a new technology, but it's also about mindsets. It's about mindsets because you can deliver much faster, you know, zero friction or nearly zero friction, you know, to get that software out. And it also requires less skills. So you don't have to be a senior developer in order to build a great system. You know, you can be a junior developer and build a great system. You know, so how Reza says it, you can punch way above your weight class. I think something like that is the US way of saying it, American way of saying it. Yeah, so I think why we did this and why we managed to do this great story is because we do have a great team. And in fact, some of you might already know, Plant an App, it's a spin-off. It's a spin-off from another company that's been around for 10 years. And in that company, we develop and we conquer that market. We are number one in that marketplace, that ecosystem for many years. And then at some point, the market just started shrinking and we thought about what's our future, and the future proved to be low code, and that's where we focus. But this is the same team, most of it at least, that made that a success, you know, made that business a success. And now we validated our ability to build software at a grand vision, at an international scale, at a global scale. Right? And then Reza, for example, that's here in the call, our head of product, he's been working on the customer side for many years before joining us in January last year. Even though he's one of our, let's say, youngest member in the team, he's actually been in the team on the customer side, which was also very good fit with his role as a head of product, because he really gets the customer perspective from much better than the rest of us that are on the inside, you know, and always depend on the customer to express it to us. So right now we have 24 employees. We have 5 in the US and 19 in Romania. And we have plans to hire a bunch more, and that's what we are raising the money for. So our current investors, this is probably something that I should talk about. We were in the 500 Startups program in San Francisco. So when we first released it was December 2019. Before that, we applied to 500 startups. They accepted us, and we've been to San Francisco. Alex Gavril has been with me. We had another team from another guy from our team that's not in this meeting that's been with me. So it was 3 of us there for 4.5, 5 months, something like that. And our purpose, of course, was to make the Silicon Valley dream happen, you know, until this COVID reality struck in. Because we graduated in April, and that's when we planned to fundraise in Silicon Valley, and then that's when this COVID happened. It was not a good time for fundraising, so that's when we decided that let's postpone fundraising from VCs, let's focus on growth, let's do the equity crowdfunding. So we adapted really quick to the new reality, and I think we did a very good job on both growth, because growth can bring us more investors, and also on equity crowdfunding to give us the funds that we need to hire all these people and continue our accelerated growth. As Andrei mentioned, we also released on Republic, which is an equity crowdfunding campaign similar to Seedblink, but to US investors. And here I would like to talk a bit about the differences, because Andrei asked me to go more in more detail, and I think that will be very useful to know. So Republic is thought more like a mass market product, because as you can imagine, the investment market in the US is much bigger than in Romania. So then they depend more on numbers. The investment size is smaller, it's $100, right? But then they attract thousands of investors, or nearly, I don't know. I didn't see one with 10,000, but I saw like 3,000 investors, 4,000 investors, right? So it's much smaller investors, and then they also use different instruments, like Andrei mentioned, the CrowdSafe. So where CrowdSafe is different than Safe is that CrowdSafe is thought about these lots of smaller investors. You know, so they don't give a lot of rights. They don't give like information rights, voting rights, this kind of rights. But they do act. CrowdSafe acts as that special vehicle, right? So they don't need to form like a new company to hold 10,000 or 5,000 investors. CrowdSafe means that it's a single line on the cap table that has behind the scenes those 5,000 investors, right? And they are called, I think they are called shadow equity, something like that. So that's the difference. Whereas Safe Note, they are much more standardized. They are the standard in the US for seed funding, I think. They are the creation of Y Combinator many years ago as a way to have a convertible note that's standard, that doesn't take a lot of time to negotiate the terms, go back and forth, you know, something that you can discuss, agree on, handshake, and then write the check, and that's it, you know, how Americans do it. We never got the check phase in Romania. And that's a good thing, you know, because changing US organization to pay with online bank transfer is very difficult. We have our biggest customers send us an email, a physical mail with the check every month, you know. So yeah. I'm hoping this answered some of the concerns. I'm now done with the speech. Of course, I made it much longer than I did it with the EBRD, because I knew I had time, so I went into more detail. But we are Planter App, and that's how we are disrupting the local space by truly democratizing software development, as you saw, in multiple ways. One is to bring various roles on the same platform, and especially software engineers that are traditionally left out of this low-code movement. You know? And that is one. And the other aspect is outside, is building these kind of systems in a very participative and faster way without a lot of friction. So I hope you enjoyed it, and let's see questions.
Great, thank you, Bogdan. Yeah, we already just started to receive questions. You can write it both on in Romanian or English, it doesn't matter. I know that Reza also prepared a short presentation of a sort of demo for the product. But I will start with the question about your experience with 500 startups. What are the benefits that you have taken over from that? I don't know, how long does it take? 6 months, one year?
The program took 5 months, 4 to 5 months. That's how it usually takes. In the meantime, they changed the program, so now it takes variable. It matters only when you graduate, so now it's different than 1 year ago. But I would say the biggest benefit is the brand. The brand, because then being a 500 startups graduate opens a lot of doors. Opens doors on recruitment, opens door on getting to investors, and opens door getting to customers. So for us, it really helped more pragmatically. It helped getting a sales advisor in June. We got our sales advisor that actually has been a sales of VP of sales, a different low-code company for many years. So that really helped, having this guy in the low-code mindset and helping us. He brought to us our first salesperson in New York. She started in December 1st, on December 1st. So it's this kind of things that help us, 500 startups.
I'm not sure, are there any Romanian startups that were part of this program?
Only 2, it's us. And then there is another startup, I forgot their name, they are from Brasov. They were in the previous year. I forgot their names, I will find out. Gar, do you know? Do you remember?
No, I didn't get to meet them or to talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't matter. We'll find out.
Claudiu Murariu is his name. He was actually a mentor at Startup Spotlight. So Claudiu Murariu, you might know him. Inner Trends, yeah, somebody wrote Inner Trends.
Okay.
And then,
knows. Okay.
Gav, do you want to add something to this 500 startup story from a marketing perspective?
I think the big takeaway from that experience was that it gave us a growth mindset that I think we went in not having, and we came out with that as our biggest win. And even though we didn't get to have a proper investment round there, it did set us up for growth in the last year. So that was the biggest takeaway from being in that accelerator and in that environment.
Okay, I have also direct questions and the ones general on the chat, but before Reza is starting the short demo product presentation, if you can answer to Emil, can you name 2 more mature competitors and what's their valuation multiple to their annualized revenue, to their ARR? Use DOMI to 2020 as a basis, if you can. And I have a direct questions related to this. How do you compare PlantonApp to other existing low-code competitors? Appian in US or a chain in Switzerland, if the case?
Yeah. So I will start maybe with the stories that I'm following. So the big story, not 2020, but 2020 is 2018, I think. Mendix. So Mendix is one of the biggest players in local space that we've been watching, and they were bought by Siemens for 800 millions in 2018. So I'm not sure. I don't have it now in front of me. What was their revenue at the time? But a very strategic acquisition. Last year, we've seen investments that I've been following towards low code. So, for example, Airtable, it's a big example. So, Airtable is traditionally a no code tool, right? So, it doesn't offer flexibility, but you can build something fast. That's basically no code. Last year, they raised $180 million to add the low-code capabilities to their no-code platform, right?
And do you know the valuation?
I don't remember the valuation. I remember just they raised 100 million. I think it's publicly available somewhere.
Okay.
These are like the big. Sorry?
I put a link in the chat from 2018 that describes the big acquisitions that happened that year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, multiple amendments.
Yeah, yeah. We also seen.
Can you also mention something about the differences, the competitive advantages that PlantaNav has against the big names?
Yep. So is that ability to deploy custom code without having to resort to traditional development? I would say that is one of the biggest paradigm shifts, while employing the tools that you might already know as a user, as a developer, or as a business user. You know? So that gives the ability to build up systems in days compared to weeks or months. Right? So that's our biggest advantage, is runtime compilation using tools that exist today. And that's what our customers love about us, because it gets the job done, right? Fast.
Okay. Reza, are you prepared for the short demo?
Absolutely.
How long does it take? Because we got a lot of questions lately. So just to be sure that we can answer to each of them.
5 to 7 minutes. How about that?
Okay. Make it 5 for Bucharest time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so this one's a very interesting one for several reasons. One, what I'm going to demonstrate is a system that's going live this week. 2, I built it myself. And for this client, the system I've built actually was for a partner of ours who is going to be reselling this capability. And what this customer needs is a custom assessment that their prospects can fill out, and it will send them a report. And so this is used for lead generation. It's integrated with Marketo, which is where they do all their marketing and sales pipeline feeding into Salesforce. And what I've done here, this is their website, and they're very, very strict on their brand standards. This is actually, and it's going to look really simple, this is what's external facing, and this is what they'll be exposing through their website. So I needed to match their brand perfectly to their standard. And all a person does, their customers, answer a few questions. They're in the rules engine space, kind of a major player in that space. And they just ask, do you maintain documentation? Do you currently use a rules engine? I'll say yes. How many rules do you maintain? How often are they updated? And what drives this? And so when I say get report, we give a few insights to the user to tease them. But in order to get their custom report, they need to give more information. And what this information is what will feed into Marketo, as well as be able to send them the report to their email. Sorry, I'm not good at typing and talking at the same time. They can say if they want to be contacted or not, any other comments, and then send me the report. And so this just ran a bunch of workflows behind the scenes. And I should have an email here. This email as well matches their brand. It's highlighting because I put a filter on. And it generates this 11-page PDF report, all dynamic, all custom insights that are calculated based on how they answered those questions. It scores them, it puts them into a stage. So that's not the very interesting thing about this. It's when I log in. First of all, their end customer in Rule never is going to build anything low code. They don't know anything about low code. All they're going to be is users of the system. And so what I've actually built is a no code system using a low code system. And so what this does is it shows them, and it's showcasing several of our capabilities. And one of the things I really love about Plant an App, especially in my prior role, is I always called it the Swiss Army knife. It can fill so many gaps. And I think that is also one of the advantages we have against competition. I was initially looking to leave my role and start my own agency. And when I met with Bogdan, I had evaluated several of the other players in the space, Microsoft, Mendix, Appian. Either the cost is extremely prohibitive, the learning curve is very high, or they just don't have the capabilities. This is a very, very well-rounded platform. Everything from being able to configure analytics on the fly and configure them, full editing, form generation, the PDFs, the workflows. These are some of the dashboards the system can generate in a matter of seconds. You point it to a data source, name a thing, save, it's here on the screen, all dynamic. They have full user management, but the neater thing is that they can create as many assessments as they want. They define that there's a new assessment, and then they come and specify which questions they want to ask, as well as what are the allowable answers. And the moment that I type anything here, that first form that I was filling out dynamically changes. All of the content and the calculations that are happening in that report are all based on what they enter here. But as you can see, there's no low code here. There's just a system that users interface with, and that's the no code. That's the difference. All they're doing is putting in some configuration and some answering some questions. But by doing that, they're actually able to build and generate and customize and manage the report, everything from the content of that email, all in the hands of the end customer who knows nothing about low code, has not built any of the workflows. All of those were done by me, but it's all dynamic. Why that's important is our partner is now able to take this and go to his next customer and his next customer who's in a totally different space and say, if you want lead capture, custom assessments that you can use to re-sign your existing customers and demonstrate what ROI they're getting out at time to re-sign, or to capture new leads and new prospects, you just define some questions, you define the allowable answers, and some basic HTML goes into the template, and all through no code. So literally in one day, he can have his next sale. He can have his next sale. His margins are 90% for him, right? And so that's what's I love and is very powerful about this system. We don't have time, so I won't even show you how I built it and the behind the scenes of the low code. But one guy, a technology VP by trade, I'm used to running development teams. I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder, but I was able to do all of this essentially by myself and match their website, their brand perfectly. So there's just too much to go into here, but we're so well-rounded. There's so much capability and maturity under this platform. I think that is really a major advantage. When I looked at a lot of the other systems, only Mendix and Appian a little bit has as many features and well-rounded, but again, the cost is 10 times higher and the learning curve is massive, months and months. We have the ability from just the no code side, in 10 seconds, you could make an app, literally 10 seconds. You would define a data field and you would have all your screens, all your layout, you customize your colors and your UI very quickly, and you've got an app, you upload your logo that matches your brand perfectly. That's for people just starting out. That's for people who are not very technical. You can go all the way to the point where Bogdan was talking, when you do need to do these integrations. We have full API management suites. It's like 5 systems inside of one, but you can just scratch the surface and interact from the no code side and go all the way into putting in your own code, hitting save and refreshing the page, and your changes are live. One last note I'd like to leave you all with about why I would choose to leave a 10-year career at a Fortune 500 company and join a Romanian startup. The biggest thing I looked at, I already knew the technology was amazing and sound, had been using it at Equifax is where I was, for cybersecurity remediation, $100 million a year budget generation involving over 1,000 IT workers, 300 different projects and business cases, all orchestrated in real time, many, many uses. It's still used there, the system we built over the course of 4 years that we just kept adding to. And sometimes you have a need, it would come up, we would do a thing, it goes away, you don't need it, you turn it off, but the system kept going. It sits in the middle of all these other systems and processes, and it becomes the orchestrator of a whole department, especially business to employee facing. But what really, the thing I evaluated the most and I thought was most important about what I was joining was the team. And I am beyond in love with and impressed with the Plant and App team. Like I said, I've worked with thousands of people from all over the world, and I've never worked with a team like this. As small as they are, what they can do is incredible. Some of these features are built, this whole dashboard thing, capability was built in 2 weeks, shipped live. We release very often, and my role is very unique at this point, where I'm not just, when we say head of product, do we mean managing the roadmap and the backlog? Yes, but I'm also managing the product development team. So we have a very, very tight relationship and ability to come with new ideas, to hear from the customer, but then I'm technical enough and know how to lead and work with the development teams to make these things a reality daily. Hope that was my 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Reza. It was great to hear your thoughts about the development, and you are already 1 year with this team, yeah, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so still in love with them.
Absolutely, more than ever.
Okay, coming back to your questions, Bogdan, you've done a great job during 2020. What is your strategy for the next years? 40%, 45% annual growth rate is very low to my opinion, to the one who's asking, in a greenfield market estimated at $54 billion.
So that's the rate, the compound annual growth rate of the low-code enterprise sector, right? It's not our growth. Our goal is to grow 4 times each year, right? So our goal for this year would be to get actually over 4 times, to get to 2.5, 3 million in revenue, in total revenue. And then grow 4 times every next 2 years, and that's on the document that will be available. I don't know if it's already available on the campaign page on the financials. That's our goal. That's our mission in terms of growth. Growing 4 times every year, at least 4 times every year.
And if I may throw in one thing, all of our growth that we achieved last year was without any salespeople. That was Bogdan and I on all the sales calls, and we're not salespeople. So we have a very good sales person now.
Yep.
Bogdane, dacă îmi permis să intervin un pic, sunt foarte multe întrebări legate de diferențele pozitive între cele două safe-uri. Poți să spui 2-3 lucruri importante până când eu o să trimit drafturile ca să le compare oamenii? Doar așa, 2 highlights.
Da, am spus în timpul pitch-ului, dacă e ceva mai specific. Hai că am explicat diferența în timpul pitch-ului, dacă e o vreo întrebare mai specifică.
There is also a question about, let me come back to that topic, where the investment goes. It goes to the US company, yeah?
Yeah, both are on the US. The US company is the headquarters. In Romania, we have a subsidiary owned 100% by the US company.
And just to clarify, is the same valuation, the same coordinates, financial coordinates?
Yep. Same valuation, same discount rate.
Okay.
Same method of calculating in how many shares they convert on the future round.
And coming back to the financials, an investor is asking if you can split the financial projections on quarters, and also looking back to 2020 and now the projection for 2021, and on different chapter of costs, sales, marketing, R&D, etc.
So,
can we provide them with this kind of structure of information?
Yeah. So I think first of all, the document that it's already on the page or is going to be on the page is it's already split by months for 2021.
Okay.
For 2020, we can do by months. We can do the revenue by month. I don't think we can do the expense. I think we can do the expenses as well. We just haven't kept it by month. I kept it as the current burn rate and the current MRR. You know, that's the two metrics that I looked at. And then again, in terms of costs for 2021, I do have like a detailed projection on how many people we need to hire and on which positions, based on which we calculate the burn rate. So yes, I can do for 2021. I can do the costs per month as well. Oh, I think it's already per month actually. Yeah.
Okay. We'll check again. If the information is not available, we'll come back to you. But it should be indeed. About the question with maybe it's good to stress out again what is the main 2 or 3 positive differences between the two, between the Y Combinator SafeNote and the CrowdSafe with Republic.
Yeah, so I think I will discuss past that. I will discuss also from the perspective of a Romanian investor investing in a US company. Through Republic, we had people trying to invest to Republic. It's a more difficult process because one is the banks do not work well, European banks with US banks. So for Romanian credit cards, they were blocked by the bank. So people had to call the Romanian bank to ask to be unblocked. Some banks will not allow it. Like, this is suspicious activity, you know, just because Republic is in the US, you know. And for example, in US you don't have 3D secure, you know, and that's one of the biggest issue why Europeans see it as fraudulent, you know, as a fraud. Instead, US uses postal code a lot, you know, which is not well integrated with European system. So then payment is a big issue with investing from Romania to directly through Republic. So that's one. The other one, I don't know how much it matters to this. From our perspective, it's not a big difference. It's this voting rights and information rights. I mean, we don't plan at this point to do a big differentiation between the Shadow series from the Republic and the special vehicle, investment vehicle from Seedblink, you know, in terms of what information we give out. We'll give probably the same information to everyone. Probably more sensitive information will go to major investors, to maybe a VC that has a board seat. That would be more information, more sensitive information, so to speak.
Okay, thank you again for repeating this. Are you interested in partnership in accelerated improvement of visual analytics using QLIC Sense? Other Seedblink investment also closed some deals with us. This is a sort of collaboration question, but you can make a link between the two companies afterwards. Are you focusing, it seems that you are focusing more on large enterprises market, or any, do you plan any subversion to SME market?
Yeah, so our hotspot for market, it's actually medium enterprises. So maybe a few, I would say maybe, let's say 100 employees to maybe a few hundred employees, because one, it's faster for us to close deals in that space. The bigger the organization, the harder it is to get in, you know. So that's one, faster buying cycles. And two is we don't have any competition in that space because of the pricing point, right? So if they try to look at Mendix, Appian, other low-code platforms, they will find it costs them maybe 4 times as much. And if they do their technical due diligence, they'll find out that it will cost 10 times as much because the learning curve is bigger, the development process is longer, they need the traditional development teams, which are more expensive, you know, and things like that.
Okay, an important clarification that we need. It seems we have a misunderstanding, or we have not defined correct what we mentioned on our campaign. The valuation is said to be $9 million and the discount rate of 80% to be applied a future funding round. Is the discount the correct one? Probably it's the other way. I think for sure it's the other way around. The discount is 20%. We have to clarify it with the wording on our platform, if it's if it's confusing right now. So just to clarify, the discount to the is 20%.
Yeah, I think it depends how you say it. If you say the discount is 20% or the discounted rate is 80%. But yeah, the discount is 20%.
Yeah. Congrats, Bogdan and the team. I'm happy you came to Seedblink. I was postponing investing on Republic, and now I'm glad. I know that you won the 3rd place in Startup Spotlight, and that means, if I remember correctly, 1 million in perks. Can you explain what does it mean a little more detailed? I don't really know what the 1 million in perks means.
Yeah, it's basically, from what I could tell, I have to admit that I haven't looked into much detail. It's a card that gives you various subscriptions at various different other startups. You know, like we could give a perk like that to other startups. You know, and this total value of all the perks in that program is 1 million. And of course, you don't need all the tools. You know, some are marketing tools, some are sales tools, some are tools that we'll never use. But we have the same capabilities in the 500 startups program. So from 500 startups, we got, I don't know, $100,000 at Amazon Web Services. We got 25K Microsoft Azure, and hopefully we'll get to their next tier of 120K. We got HubSpot, you know, with, I don't know, we pay $5 per user compared to $50 per user, something like that. So we used a lot of perks from 500 startups, which I found they are much more value than what we had on that card, but I haven't looked into detail yet. So.
Okay. I think we are close to the final.
There is a very, very good question.
Yeah, it's we have still some 4 minutes. On Republic, you give some perks, Sprout Harvest for 1 year for investors. Do you plan to offer them for Seedblink investors as well?
I think some will definitely want. I don't know, does Seedblink has a system for that as well?
Not yet, but we can start from somewhere. And yeah, it's not probably will not be available on the platform, but we can do it manually. We have to discuss about it. Thank you for.
Yeah. I'm very okay to give them to people, because I think they're very good. They help us as well, because you saw some are related to training other people to use PlantaNet, you know. So.
And what we already had with different other startups, with the investors that joined them in the Seedblink round, then they define this kind of collaboration, and for sure we can help with that, at least with the investors.
Yep.
Okay, so here we are. I think we are close to, we have 2 more minutes. If someone could want to ask an additional question, we have this time. But otherwise, I think, yeah, Bogdan will be available also next Thursday at the usual monthly Dialog cu Fondatorii. But there will be 3 companies present there in the normal environment that we have created there. Yeah, there are some additional congratulations here. In regards to the user pricing, why you use price per app and not price per user like other platforms do? Example Zoho Creator.
Yep. I think they are priced per user. We tried the pricing per user, and what we found, it doesn't really work. And how other companies did it, they offer packages, or like on Zoho, I think you can buy a few hundred users for a fixed price. You know, they call it public users or external users or something like that. So what we found in practice is that people hack the system to have less users, you know, in order to be able to serve more users, but with less licensing per user. You know? Because sometimes if you are thinking, let's build a help desk application and I have 1,000 customers, small customers, you know, if you have to pay, I don't know, $5,000 per month for a help desk system, you wouldn't pay, right? So what's the correct price to pay for a help desk system per year, a custom help desk system? You know, that's why we found it per app, and we had much more success per app. But we also have a model that we sell mostly to enterprises and the government of Bermuda. They are on this system where they pay per developer seat. So their story is like, we'll build many apps. We'll have some apps that live for 2 weeks, other apps live for 4 years. We don't want to enter this mess of licensing apps every month. So it gives us a pricing that allows us to build any number of apps or up to a number of apps. So then we negotiate per developer how many developer seats will be working on it.
Mm-hmm. And the final question related to the above one: is there any option for free development?
Yeah, we actually had a freemium plan last year. We stopped it. It was very good. We had 80 people that signed up, but we didn't have yet the processes, the training, the capacity to handle these incoming leads and usage. So we plan to relaunch it, to have like a free tier for people to start using PlanTonApp, build something that's useful, but as soon as they scale it, they will become paying customers. So yeah, it will be, I was hoping for February, but I think realistically it will be maybe around May when it will be live.
Okay. Bogdan, thank you so much. Thank you, Reza. Thank you, Alex, for joining us and for answering the questions and for what you have built so far. Hopefully, the community of investors of Seedblink will help you to increase the annual growth rate even more than 4 times that you have the ambition to. On the other side, I won't repeat because it's already 7 o'clock. I won't repeat the conditions. You know already what are the let's say the pre-listing, the private listing for these special campaigns. So you have to send your commitments directly to Ionuț, and for further questions and sort of forum Q&A, he will organize it separately with the company until we are able to do it in a more professional way on the platform, just for the elite and classic category of investors.
What I'm hearing, Andrei, is you need to switch to a low-code platform to deliver these features, not keep.
Yeah, good pitching. Yeah, you found the good moment to propose it. Yeah. So thank you again. Mulțumim tuturor pentru că ați participat la sesiunea noastră, la evenimentul nostru și comunicăm separat pentru alte detalii și așteptăm, bineînțeles, pentru feedback. Apropo, v-am trimis și un chestionar la sfârșit de an. Dacă ne ajutați cu feedback-ul, ce simțiți că ar fi de făcut mai bine din punctul nostru de vedere, suntem flămânzi chiar după sărbători să aflăm genul ăsta de feedback din partea voastră. Mulțumim încă o dată, seara bună, have a nice evening and have a nice day in Missouri. Cu plăcere. Și să aveți un an nou bun pe toate planurile și cu low code.
Mulțumim. Same to you and thanks everyone for being in this webinar. And we'll build great things together.
Mulțumim, Bogdan. See you.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.